What's up, everybody? Welcome to Waypoint Media Club, your one-stop place for all discussions on TV shows, movies, video games, but not books. There's plenty of places for that filled with nerds. Above me, we got Albob875.
Hello.
Next to him is the stashed one, Austin J. Ernst.
That's me. I'm the stashed one now. Hello. You
know him playing a dead game Battleborn. He's Jim Tasty.
Hey, guys.
Below him, we've got RumblePack92, a.k.a. Chris LePack.
Ew.
And next to me is the other half of the Orphan Gamers, LeighErin Jass. I'll be your host, Jordan Deeb, and today we are discussing WandaVision Episode 4. Holy shit, guys.
The Blip.
The Blip.
What an opening!
What?
Yeah,
okay.
What an opening!
So I know we were talking before this that we weren't sure what was going on the first second. And I saw just the plain white background. I was like, oh, we're not doing a sitcom. So maybe we're going to see the true opening to this show. And the animation looks slightly different. We see Monica's face form. And I was like, it's weird that they show her first, but okay, go on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw her hands and I was like, oh. And it started to click as I saw everything else.
See,
yeah,
for me,
I had a... Oh, I'm sorry, Al, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, it took a second. I saw her form, okay, maybe this is something weird, like an after effect of coming out of, the sitcom world.
Mm-hmm.
And then, next thing I see, she goes into the hall, and then I see other people.
Exactly.
Come
That
back, and
it was
that's when it clicked for me.
And so my first thought was that kind of looks like when people got dusted, but in reverse. I was like, that's kind of weird. But I was like, maybe that's just a fun visual callback, and yeah, like you said, a side effect of her coming out of the sitcom world. And it's the moment she went outside and somebody else popped back in, and there's all this insanity. I went, holy shit! I was like, no way!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was watching
and the
this
doctor's
at work
just
too,
scrambling.
I was watching this at work too at lunch, on my lunch break. I'm trying my best not to freak out.
Yeah. Didn't the people that came back in the Blip and Spider-Man, didn't they just appear?
Yeah, it was portrayed differently.
Yeah, that's
Far From Home.
This one kind of went how Infinity War, they got to see themselves, fall into dust. This one kind of, they're kind of there for a second coming in. Whereas, Spider-Man just made it look like the marching band popped in the middle of a basketball game.
Yeah, and I mean, it still had that sort of that dust effect where, I mean, it was a swirl around, and they did this kind of, but it was definitely faster and intended to be a joke in Far From Home, whereas this was very serious and trying to focus on the confusion of it all.
I was gonna say it's almost and I'm not saying bringing the people back was a bad decision, but the Blip probably caused just as much chaos as the original Snap did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's for the same reason that the whole with it causing chaos. It's the same shit that what happens with Monica finding out that Maria's cancer came back and she passed away. For Monica, she feels like she just closed her eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Three of us just took a drink at the same time, if no one else realized that.
I did not see that, but it's amazing. It's we're all on the same wavelength, man. We're coordinated.
We're on the same wavelength. We are all the thirsty boys.
Oof.
Okay, different name. It's in my soul. But yeah, so then we go on and we see that Monica is the director of S.W.O.R.D., which makes me wonder how long S.W.O.R.D's been a thing.
Wait, Maria was the director of S.W.O.R.D.
Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder how long S.W.O.R.D was a thing.
Right. Yeah.
Apparently a while.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't think it would have been at the same time, but the way that they were talking about it here, it makes it sound like, I mean, it's been around for a while and was probably at least been around not obviously not as long as S.H.I.E.L.D. because Monica started, but I mean it's been around a long time and it's very clearly, I mean, it's S.W.O.R.D and S.H.I.E.L.D. So I mean it was a similar thing. Something that I noticed though is when Monica goes back for the first time and she's talking to the current director. She mentioned, she's like, you changed the name. She's like, I noticed that it's sentient weapons now. And I was like, oh, it used to be space. It used to be space like it is in the comics.
Yeah,
people
people
old too. Like,
Sentient
was the W?
World was
World.
the
Sentient World.
original.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Sentient
Okay.
World.
And I got to bring this up because it's grasping at straws, but they mentioned the astronaut program that wasn't really taking off, and it made me think of Fantastic Four because
Oh my
that's
God.
kind of the origin. I love Fantastic Four, so when I made that connection, I was like,
That
And-
might.
And we know that Sword is related to Secret Wars with
mhm.
Talos and Nick Fury. So, and then bringing
Yeah.
Monica in as director kind of makes it seem like that, like, Sword after Captain Marvel is like, fuck, there are other like sentient beings that are a threat to us out there. We need to
Yeah.
start this.
Mhm.
Which something else we'd been talking about before we started recording was because some of the Josh, for some reason, not watching the show, go ridicule him on Twitter. What the fuck?
Done 'em.
Watch the show.
But he was like, I just don't see any reason to watch
We're
it.
not gonna condone cyberbullying, but we're not gonna like.
No,
stop
we're
it.
doing it for this reason. It's setting up Phase 4.
Yeah, and so that was the thing. It's like I just don't see a reason to watch it. I'm like, Josh, this is Phase 4. Like this could have repercussions across like the whole
Not
thing.
could.
And
It will.
well, I mean, it's like we know that it's going to lead into Doctor Strange, but what we don't know is how far reaching it'll be past that. To where it's like, yeah, with the whole like Sword of Secret Wars thing, where they mentioned, of course, it was previously like, from what I can tell, it was pre-snap. It was Sentient World when and they changed it to Sentient Weapon.
Yeah.
Which I mean, when we see Nick Fury at the end of what was it, Endgame, and he's up there with the Skrulls.
Far
Was
from
it Far
home.
From Home? Okay, yeah. And so I was like, that just screams to me. I was like, okay, so those have to be related. And then Fantastic Four and everything. It's like I do think there were rumors for a long time as to like what's going to be like the next big story hook across the phase. And I watched this and I was like, they're leading to Secret Wars. I was like, I think that's where this is going to go.
Mhm.
So something else I really liked about that though is that they mentioned Maria not only being one of the previous directors, but also I'm sorry, Austin, what's up?
No. Before I forget this, we mentioned the director and we mentioned Skrulls.
Yeah.
Skrulls were on one of the boards. I just want to throw that out there. The word Skrull was there in the episode. Just throwing that out
I
there.
noticed that.
And
I noticed.
and I have a bad feeling about the director. So before we move on from the
Yeah.
director, I just wanted to say that it
He seems
seems like
kinda
he just
sketchy.
kind of
Yeah.
shipped her off. Like, get
Same.
out of
Yeah.
here. I don't want anything to do with you. I secretly hate you. Get out. Like, it
Doesn't
seems
pass the smell test.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something else that I really like though, and this is just kind of like I don't know how much like story significance that it has, but I like the idea because a lot of people were like, I don't think it's any secret that at least on the internet there's not a lot of love for the Captain Marvel movie, and yeah, it's not a bad movie. But I like the idea because I don't remember how Sword got started in the comics, but I mean, it sounds like it was like Maria was one of the founders of it, specifically because of what happened in that movie when she met when she met. I almost said Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, and and like that very clearly impacted her, and then also especially her daughter, who I mean, like they mentioned, is like, hey, you're not going into space anymore, you're grounded now, and I was like, oh wow, that like Captain Marvel very clearly had a huge impact on their lives, and it's kind of cool to see how that transformed like over the years, seeing them so far in the future now.
There's a line about that.
So I was just gonna say, it makes total sense that Sword would start after the events of Captain Marvel, and that it goes back as far back as the 90s. It's just like, watching the MCU the way you watch it in release order. They really kind of made it look like, oh, Sword was what Nick Fury did after he got blipped back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's
a line. There's a line in there where they talk about like enemies in space, or like there's living things in space, or something like that, and that like they're, I don't know, something along those lines.
There are things that we need to defend ourselves from. Yeah. And then but then Monica says like, oh, but also allies.
Exactly, something like that. Yeah, along those lines.
And I mean, hey, there was a lot of confusion when Captain Marvel got announced that the Skrulls were going to be like quote unquote good people, because in the comics they're so terrible. So I'm wondering if we're setting up partly to see a divide and more details in that war between the Skrull and the Kree.
Well, I assume now that Marvel Studios has the Fantastic Four again, I think they could probably lean into the Super Skrull, just make him like this extremist, and I mean, kind of play it similarly to the Mandalorian, where I mean, you have like this extremist cutoff from the Skrulls who are like.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like this rogue faction of
sect of 'em,
Skrulls.
Mm-hmm.
Had to mention Mandalorian, didn't you, Chris?
Any chance I get,
Season
any
2 is
chance
so
I get, I
good.
just gotta shove it in there.
Can I just throw out there, I was so proud of myself when they like confirmed that she took a town under siege and like has this entire town kidnapped and cast as these roles. I was like, this is the first time I've been right about anything, and I'm so excited.
This
Yeah.
episode
That was
was
such a cool
vindication, bro.
scene.
I was like, I knew it.
It was
Yeah,
so
so
cool
let's
to
go
see them
into that.
who is who. Like them, like okay,
Yep.
this is this person, this is this person.
Mhm.
Like pinning up their IDs and everything.
Dottie
Yeah,
wasn't
so-
there. For the record, Dottie was not on that board.
He's not there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Agatha doesn't have a state ID.
Yeah.
And no Ralph.
Not
Shocker.
Ralph at all. I'm shocked. Yeah,
They-
like I'm blown away.
And then
I was gonna say they didn't emphasize. I was gonna say they
Ralph,
didn't
I'm sorry.
emphasize that. I'm sorry, so people are getting cut off for a second. Austin, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I wasn't even talking for the record. But at the beginning of the episode, I think near the beginning when Monica first encounters like the Westview or whatever, what's the officer's name? The FBI agent, Wu or something like that.
Woo.
John
Yeah.
Woo. Jimmy Woo.
Jimmy Woo.
Jimmy Woo.
Thank
Yep.
you. He says that there's someone in witness protection, right? There's someone there that like that's what brought him to this location, and I think that person is Ralph, because if Wu would have seen the person on the television show, he would have reacted to that. Like this
Yeah,
is
but
what
like, hey, that's who we're after.
But
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
the one person we haven't seen is Ralph, so he wouldn't have seen him either, and he says him.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we know
Mm.
it's not Agatha or anything.
Which one's Ralph again? Someone
Right,
talking
but
about
Ralph
Agatha's
is
husband.
his husband that we've never seen.
Yeah.
Got
And
it.
he joking
Okay.
as a
Mhm.
rabbit.
Okay.
I did also want to give a shout out to when they asked the officer like where he's from. He says Eastview, which is also a location in the comics. And
Yeah.
so I was like, ha
I
ha.
laughed because like that happens. There is an Eastchester in New York.
That was scary, man. Those guys weren't even in the bubble, and they were still
Still
mind-warped,
affected
man.
by
Oh
it.
yeah.
Basically, yeah. It shows to convince
Jeez.
people it wasn't real.
Yeah. It's
Well,
like,
I mean, it was
what's-
crazy. They were
what's
like never
Westview?
heard of it while they're standing in front of it.
yeah,
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was the other thing that was the only thing about the episode I didn't love is that nobody referenced the fact that they were standing in front of the sign,
Right.
and nobody was like, "And how do you explain this?" Like,
well, they indirectly do like brought attention to it. They shot that scene in a
Oh,
specific
yeah.
way.
I just
It had
wanted
some
a verbal
lines in a
co-
You
specific
could-
way.
Well, I
You
think
can
it's
assume they
supposed
It's
to
mentioned
anything
it.
like humor.
it's supposed to make you question that to where they're like, then what the fuck are you standing in front of? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what do you mean? And it's like, I legitimately think it's like they're to the point where they just don't see it.
I kind of took it as like if you read the Harry Potter books, like how they say Hogwarts happens if somebody stumbles upon it, that it just comes off as like this other thing or like this beat up building, and then
it's
you'll just go.
ruins, and there's a spell that makes you remember an appointment.
Some yes, make you remember certain point.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
yes.
also have like muggle repellent charms which will be
So
like, oh, I have to be
basically-
somewhere, or oh, I shouldn't go in there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go this way. Like, yeah.
Basically, I just think that these people are just. It's either they don't see it or they just look at it and they see a different word.
I think it's. I mean, obviously, Wanda has him under some sort of spell or mind manipulation.
Yeah, no. Anyone I think that has a connection to the town from the outside is just forgetting that it exists and those people
Yeah.
exist.
How about
Mhm.
the beekeeper who, like, in the 70s episode
hazmat
becomes an ice cream guy? Like, he's scooping the ice cream for him. Like, he just got sucked in and he's like
He's there.
gone. He's gone.
Huh.
Wait.
I didn't
What?
know that. Yeah.
So the
I didn't notice he
beekeeper, the guy in the hazmat suit, goes into the tubes, crawls
Yeah.
through,
Yep.
and turns into a jump rope. In the
That was
70s
cool.
episode, that actor was serving ice cream.
The
It was
intro.
the
Oh
same
my
thing that
gosh.
happened to Monica, where once she was in, she didn't know what she was there for anymore.
So Wanda
that.
gave her a role.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I get for not being on last week's episode. Buck.
I mean, I would have never noticed because they didn't really show you his face in the 60s episode, and in the 70s, the whole ice cream thing that happens in the intro we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
In the fake theme song. Yeah.
In English, not Dutch.
That would have.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like we already have the whole thing confirmed that it's like, yes, this is a real town where she's just kind of like taken control of everything. But I mean, had I seen that, I
Yeah.
would have been like, aha.
Before
The
I
jump
forget,
rope part was cool.
before I forget, I want to mention that on the board, like, you know how I had this, Chris, you probably don't, you didn't watch that episode, you weren't on. My theory is that everyone's dead in this town. Like the people that we're seeing are all dead. And to kind of support that theory, there were no like date of births or like death dates on any of the information that they gave. So like I don't know. I feel like if they were dead, they probably would have said it. But then again, if they
I
were
don't
dead,
think
they
they're dead.
They gave me
No.
nothing to be like, what? This person died 10 years ago.
Right,
well,
yeah.
I mean, at the point when they were like, "Hey, this person is playing this character on the show," and they're putting up on the board, I feel like they would have said at some point, it was like, all of these people are dead. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like they would have shout that out this episode. But also, I don't think Marvel is going to be like, "Yeah, this is a town full of reanimated corpses." And I was like, "Nah, I don't think they're going to do that. Like that feels a little dark for
I had
Marvel."
a thought. Is it when she snaps back from Go ahead.
No. I'll wait.
Okay. I was just gonna say when she's like snaps back when they show that flashback of what happened to Monica after Vision was outside, he comes back in and she just sees the dead version of him. I'm like, did she get the dead body? And like she's just like animating it.
So
That's all I could think of, and I hate it. I hate it
That was
so
my
much.
thought. Yeah.
So I think that's a possibility, and I actually have a different theory on.
Oh, I took it as like a flashback.
Yeah.
Oh my
So my thought is because like right before that happens, the director's sword leaves. Like he sees Vision on the screen, and he's like, "I have to go." I think they have Vision's body somewhere, and he's going back to double check on it. But and in that moment, I mean, it's like that's right after Wanda uses her powers. It's the first time we see her legitimately use her powers as the way that we know them in the show.
Red.
And I mean, it's like, you know, she just went through the scene where she was talking about Ultron, and she completely snaps out of that whole thing, and she's like, you don't talk about that around here. Like, and I mean, she drops back into the Sokovian accent, does all of that stuff, and then it's like I think she still feels like that guilt, that sadness, that weight of it all, and when she sees Vision, that's all she can think about for a second is that he's dead and not here anymore, and that's what she sees. But also, that was fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Scared the
Like,
fucking
holy
shit out
shit.
of me.
Oh yeah.
It shook. It shook.
His
It shook
dead
into my
eyes.
core, man.
His
It
dead
was like-
eyes and the big
That-
thing.
You guys are wussies, dude.
The gaping hole in the top of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, that was dark.
and he
so-
wasn't as gray as he was in Infinity War. Like he
was not. He had a little bit of a
color.
color to him.
But it's like I'm still of the thought is like she was just reliving all of that for a second, and that's I still think Vision is a projection of her powers at this point, and she's created this specifically so that she can live that life with Vision again, and I mean it's like when she dropped out of that like this facade for a second of everything. I mean, she's using her powers again. She's acting Sokovian, and then it's like her brain goes back to like, oh yeah, he's dead, and that's what she sees. And then when she snaps back into it, I mean, obviously, like, you know, she blinks and he's regular Vision again.
So
like, I just don't think Vision's there at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's actually there.
So let me say something. So in Endgame, there was there's going to be like another post-credit scene where Vision's body was being stored in a facility, like, and it ended up getting cut from the movie, but that was originally like film planned, so they could easily take that with sword, you know, somehow. I mean, sentient weapon, right? Like somehow getting the body, diagnosing it, and then either it's still there or Wanda like took it.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I don't think it's too crazy to think that somebody has Vision's body somewhere. I mean, he was still like a robot created by Stark and by Bruce. So it's like I do think he's probably somewhere. I don't think Wanda's just running around with him. Although, I mean, again, it's props.
Who knows at this point?
If they do be like, oh yeah, no, she's got Vision's body and he's using it, like, fuck, dude.
So
That'd be messed
so
up.
heavy.
That'd be messed
That's
up.
so heavy.
one of the things that I was kind of arguing with myself this episode is I don't know if like I don't know how to explain this without making it sound like a little bit more deranged. So like I'm sorry if I make it sound like that, but it's like if Wanda is literally her brain is lying to itself and suppressing the reality against kind of her own will, or if she's actually in full control and just kind of like, no, but I want this, and like she
I think
knowingly
that's what
took
it
this town over.
I think,
She knowingly is lying to everyone.
I
I
think
think that's exactly what it is.
She's in denial.
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah,
you see her
that's the
say,
theory,
I'm happy
Yeah,
here. Let's
and I
stay
mean, she's
here.
been through so much.
I think that's
Uh,
most likely. I just don't like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then she
I
becomes the
it,
villain in a
see,
way.
well, see, I love that.
That's not why.
I
Uh,
don't know if she fully knows what's going on though. Because
she
if she
might have.
fully knew what's going on, she wouldn't get so confused by things like Dottie asking like she gets so weird when and like confused when certain things happen that I feel like we would have seen a bigger response to the radio if she was cognizant of everything going on.
That's true.
I don't think she went into this town and she was like, you know what, I'm taking over this. I think it was something that she created, not being in full control of her powers.
Yeah.
But then when she realized what she has, she's like, I'm going to keep it this way.
Mhm.
She
I
thinks
do think, because I mean, it's again, her whole thing is warping reality. I think this is something that she wanted so bad. She created this, and she's going to do whatever she can to keep it going.
I think that she thinks she's in control, but I think there's a Mephisto-like character and a sword character that is behind the scenes somehow. I think there's two other parties involved.
Yeah,
I don't think Sword is part of the creation of it personally.
No.
but yeah, like in episode 1 and mostly 1 and 2 as well, she does look lost with a lot of the outside, chicanery.
But at the same time, I mean, if you look at episode 1, I mean, the point where the dude was choking, like he wasn't eating anything before he choked. Like he started questioning what was going on, and she basically punished him for it.
Yeah. And we also know now. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't think she's fully aware what she's doing. I think it's all very much her own brain trying to protect herself. And
Mhm.
whatever it has to do to protect her is what they'll do.
Mhm.
And like
Yeah.
actual Wanda with her reasoning and not wanting people to be afraid of her and be scared of her and all that crap is somewhere, but it's not in control.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
also think that no, I lost it. I completely lost it.
Sorry.
I'll go. So do you think when she has these cognizant moments, it's just like a reaction, like an out of body experience where she's like the no, and then the you need to leave, and like forcing
not-
it?
Yeah.
Do you think
See,
she
not
was
necessarily though, because I mean, it's just judging by off of like the beekeeper, and then the scene with Monica. Even if she didn't purposely go in, she's like, I'm going to create this, and then I'm going to take over all these people and control that. I think it happened, and she wants to keep it that way. But I do think it is a conscious choice to be like, if you're going to come in here and fuck my shit up, I'm going to make you leave.
I think part of that is the only one who kind of knows what's going on more so than the townsfolk is Agnes.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think at this point, like we're just waiting on the reveal that she is the
Agatha Harkness.
Agatha from the yeah, and that she's strong enough because of the strength of witch that she is. But your average everyday person isn't strong enough to fight like that kind of mind control, whether it's voluntary or involuntary.
But we did see last week that like people are picking up on it because Herb was hinting at it. He was like, "We're all," he kind of was like, "We all got to play along before we get killed."
Yeah, and I mean, there's also, you had the doctor being like, hey, the small towns, hard to escape.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think they have flashes of what's going on, because I mean, it's like that scene with Dottie. I like after the radio goes off, like Dottie seems really, really confused, and then the moment she sees you, she's like, "Who are you?" And I think that's we see those townspeople have those small, they always have to have those small realizations of what's going on in moments where Wanda is distracted.
Yeah, where she doesn't have the full focus, and I think that's why it became more apparent in the last episode, because we know the pregnancy was fucking with her powers, so it probably took some of her ability to focus on that. I remember what I was going to say though.
But then also, while Herb and Agnes were talking to Vision, was during the point when Wanda was talking to Monica.
Which brings me, we now know
she was back to herself. She was using her powers and stuff,
Yeah.
and then suddenly everyone around is like, "Hey," like, yeah.
we now know that not everything we see is what happens, because we obviously know that like the people from
Oh,
the
yeah.
outside, like Darcy and Jimmy Woo, are seeing versions where things are just cut. But now today we learned that we as the audience haven't seen everything, because the thing where she throws Monica out was so extended. So who knows what else she's done that we haven't seen?
But also at the same time, we've also seen a little bit more than what Darcy and them have seen as well. Just because it's like the bit where Dottie is talking to Wanda and she's like, "Who are you? Like, I don't know you." Darcy, and it's like it cut like right when the radio hit, and so they didn't see like Wanda's realization at all, which is, again, I think it makes me think is like these are intentional choices that Wanda is making. Like,
I have way more questions about Agnes than I did before because they don't have an ID for her, and they're running all their faces through some sort of facial recognition software, which, this is superhero content, so like that's going to be more advanced than actual tech we have. If she's a member of Westview, why didn't she pop up? If she's just like a normal member of society, why didn't she pop up? Like,
They
and if she's
haven't.
not from Westview, how did she get in there?
well, it
And
seems
like,
like
why was she already there?
well, it looks like a lot of the people in Westview don't live there. Like they were in the area they mentioned. There were a couple people that were like, "Hey, this person is played by this person from New Jersey," and they put that up there. And
Westview's in New Jersey.
Westview's in New Jersey.
Oh shit, it is, isn't it?
They're all from New Jersey.
All right, well, never mind then.
They had a giant sign.
So I just kind of had a thought about, Agnes and all that is, what if Wanda kind of went in and like created this, but then like she kind of had this thought of like, okay, I'm done. But then Agnes got in and kind of like, no, we're training you, building up your powers, kind of doing this.
I think it
kind of help keeping her in there.
Yeah,
against her will.
It feels very.
So that's why we see her snap, and just like when she snaps, it's like she's so like kind of like wide-eyed and has no clue where she is.
It feels very House of M-esque, to where I think this was just born out of this desire to and grief, and then was just kind of like exacerbated by everything that's going on. And I don't think she had necessarily full control of it. I do think maybe it's being exacerbated by Agatha, who I mean there was a whole thing in the comics where, again, it wasn't House of M, but I mean, Wanda does this whole like reality warping thing, and then it's like it's this whole plot so Agatha can get the twins, and I think they could be taking like little bits of those
which
threads.
Marvel usually does for their
Kind of
stuff.
But no, we haven't emphasized that they haven't had an ID for Agnes yet. So I mean, you also have to assume there's other townspeople.
We just don't know who she is yet. Like,
no.
Well, but where I was going with this is that like they weren't hanging anyone on the board until they knew who they were. So obviously they ran Agatha's like picture and all that stuff and didn't find anything.
Yeah, but from their perspective, they might be like, "Oh, maybe she was just visiting when Wanda took it over. Now we have to broaden our database to not just look at residents of."
You don't think that Sword already did that? Like, you're gonna look me in the eye. Sword hasn't run a national database. When we're in New Jersey, it's just gonna be someone from New Jersey.
I thought that there would be a scale. It's like, all right, let's start with around Westview. Now let's start with Jersey, and then start tri-state area.
Nah.
Can we talk about the glow up for Darcy, man? Like, rewatching. Yeah, she got her doctorate, man. Like, I'm rewatching the movies, and like, she didn't annoy me in the first two Thor movies, but like, it was just like, okay, like you're in and you're out, and she wasn't like essential to like the movies really. And I really liked
side character. Yeah,
I really liked her in this episode, man. Like she was, her and Jimmy both being kind of like, not because like she was like the straight man almost, or they both were playing off each other instead of like just one character being like the comedy relief. Like they
gave her agency, which I really liked.
They gave her agency, and Jimmy Woo isn't completely kind of a punchline the way he almost was in Ant-Man 2, where like he was serious, but they used the punchlines a little too much.
Yeah.
So I wanna shout out one more thing, and then I have to get going. But just on Jimmy Woo, the first time we see him, is like John Woo, and he flips out a card and gives it to
I didn't pick up on
Darcy.
that.
I didn't notice that either.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, motherfucker, that's the close magic from the scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I went back and like Josh sent me a TikTok like that cut both of those scenes together, and I was like, he 100% picked that up from Scott and practiced it.
Yeah, no, because
you see him does it.
You see him trying to practice. I didn't even pick up on like, oh,
yeah.
He learned.
Yeah, he got it down, man. And so I was like, yes. And my wife, who hasn't seen him in the Watch, she was like, what? I had to
Oh my
like pause it and
gosh.
explain the whole scene.
That's a
Also,
good
imagine being, somebody in danger and the FBI agent's like, here's my card. And he has to pull a magic trick rather than just reaching for his wallet.
Which means he's got it up his sleeve ready.
Yeah.
Like at any time he's like, okay,
He's got a
here
little
we go.
stack of them.
What if he's at a conference? Does he just have a whole stack of them in there?
Yeah.
Of course.
Jimmy Woo's actually just going to become Gambit.
That would be
Oh
amazing.
my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh.
That would be fucking
Damn it,
amazing.
dude. Oh,
All right,
wow.
everybody.
Yes, we
I
did
gotta
again.
get
Foreshadowing.
going.
Bye, Chris.
I love you all.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Cool. I mean,
With Darcy, I was also so excited because you've seen how much she's grown up and how much of Jane has rubbed off on her. Like when I think it was the Sword director, which is part of the reason I don't like him, was Miss oh my god, what is
Lewis.
her last name? Lewis,
Lewis.
thank you.
yeah.
And she turns around and goes, "Doctor," and then storms off. I was like, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're just
Eat
Well,
yeah.
yeah, she was actually she was never annoying, but her the Mew Mew joke and stuff. I was like, oh man, okay, but then yeah, she was
Mew
actually
Mew.
getting shit done.
Mew Mew.
Yeah, and I'm
Oh,
curious.
dope, dude.
Mew Mew.
I'm curious if she's gonna come back in Thor: Love and Thunder and be kind of that Jane character to, not romantically,
Jane?
obviously, but the Jane character to Jane.
Yeah,
Maybe
You know,
romantic.
that would
We don't
actually-
know. Who knows?
I was just thinking though, that would be kind of cool. I mean, this is a little way side tangent, but having, now that she's actually a doctor now, she knows what she's talking about. Having those two actually be able to have a scientific conversation with each other.
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah, because just going off on that
You
tangent,
can't fake being a doctor.
because with Thor 4,
That's not true, actually. There's been a teen that's been caught doing that twice.
You can't fake being a doctor of astrophysics.
Fair.
but with Jane, dealing with the whole being Thor now, and then whatever Thor is going to be doing in 4, yeah, I'm excited for Darcy's
Mm-hmm.
Darcy
Gross.
content going forward. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, they totally grounded her character, and they didn't do it in a way that I don't know, ripped away from her personality. Darcy has always just kind of been there for me, but in this one she was enjoyable, and they kind of redeemed her too a little bit in my eyes. So well done.
Yeah,
I'm so
100%.
sorry, but somebody just knocked on my door, and no one ever knocks on my door. So just
Oh,
Yeah.
turn the
Hang on
camera
one
toward
second.
the door so we can get a visual.
Say that too.
That's my front door.
Everyone watch them. Everyone stare intently. Go for it. This is ASMR. It probably is.
Good math practice.
What content? Are we leaving this in?
I'm recording.
I wouldn't. It seems creepy. Oh,
Bye.
it's got to be something. There's got to be something with their car or something.
Can I go pee now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, might as well.
We're just chilling.
Oh man, yeah, once the astronaut comment got dropped, man, the Fantastic Four stuff,
I didn't even pick up on that.
yeah, Fantastic Four, they're great. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
and when they come back, because and with the snap, all the cosmic energy going out, you could pull the X-Men in with that
Oh,
too,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
when the FF come back, they gotta have Chris Evans do something, man. Just some sort of cameo.
Oh,
with
yeah.
him and Captain America. I can't wait, man. I can't.
Have
wait.
him as old Captain America. Be like, you look familiar.
Listen, if they were gonna do that, they would have done it with Peter already, right? They're not gonna do those nods.
Was it I think it was the first Fantastic Four when he just gets his powers and he's there's that weird
Snowboarding skiing.
yeah, they're that totally mid 2000s extreme sports
Yeah.
because it's totally shot differently too and stuff
Oh yeah, I know
Like-
exactly what you're talking about.
new Fantastic Four, whoever's Johnny Storm is in some spa or something, you have Chris Evans with that same towel around,
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
nurse saying
man.
that he's hot, and he's like, "Oh, thank you." She's like, "No, no, like you're literally 1,000 degrees."
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
It's
You're good.
Okay.
somebody who used to live here, his stimulus check got sent here, and
Oh.
we've been waiting for it to like show up. And I've been
Yeah.
panicking because sometimes I don't notice like the names and throw out mail that doesn't look important.
Mhm.
And I've been
Hmm.
panicking that I may have accidentally thrown out his stimulus check.
Ooh.
So, but it came and like he has it now, and I'm so happy also because he comes like every 3 days. So,
Thank God he got a
yeah.
stimmy.
You couldn't let yeah, that's funny.
For
Got
him.
the stimmy.
This is how I get like the first time he came though, I was like, dude, like I'm being nice that I'm coming out here because you're like a 35-year-old man. And I'm a 24-year-old girl who lives alone. Like, and like you used to live here, so you know I'm not living here with somebody else because my apartment's tiny. Like,
Mhm.
anyways, sorry.
No worries.
Oh, God.
Good to go whenever.
So, another thing I noticed, another thing that I noticed today that people have been kind of saying for a while now that I was like, I haven't picked up on it, but people are saying that there's a lot of hexagon symbolism in this show. I haven't noticed that because I don't pick up on that shit because I'm like a dumb guy and I just like shapes don't register. But like today on the board, Jimmy Woo literally wrote hexagon. So it's more than just symbolism. Like there's something going on.
Mhm.
And like I'm wondering if it has to do with AIM because that's the only hexagonal shape in Marvel that I could think of that like is important.
Well,
Yes, Austin.
Hi, hello. I think it is literally just it means hex magic. That's it.
Oh.
Magic.
there's that. There's the sword
Okay.
base was in the same hexagonal shape with the roads, and then also 6, Satan, Devil, Mephisto. So there's that possible connection too.
6 decades.
Yeah, that too. 6 decades.
I really think what we're gonna end up getting is it's gonna be 3 sitcoms, an episode of What's Been Happening in the Outside World during it. During it. 3 sitcoms, an episode of The Outside World, because
Finale.
that brings us to 8, finale.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have a feeling that the finale is going to be an hour. Like, I really think
That'd
that
be cool.
they'd be stupid to not extend it.
Mhm.
There was an article that LeighErin you sent me about Paul Bettany saying how I don't know if he specifically says the word finale, but he says towards the end of the show he gets to work with an actor that he's always wanted to work with, and he won't say who because it would ruin it. So it means it's definitely someone that's cast in Marvel that he hasn't worked with before. That would be a surprise entrance. Who are we guessing? Because my instinct was to say Doctor Strange, but him and Benedict Cumberbatch have worked on something before.
They worked on a movie where Paul Bettany played Charles Darwin.
Oh wow.
Interesting.
And there's a scene where Benedict Cumberbatch yells at him and tells him that he murdered God. A very weird movie.
Yeah. So, it's not him.
Jordan, can you sum that up? I was messing with my cat. Sum all that up. Who's who?
Paul Bettany said that there's an actor coming in at the
okay.
last episode that he's never worked with before, and he's very excited to work with.
Jordan thought it was was Benedict Cumberbatch, and I was like, well, they haven't worked together in the MCU, but they've worked together like in life. Like Marvel was
Guardians?
not.
Guardians? I mean, he's not in any Guardians.
And they're not together in Infinity War because
There's a lot of people he's not really together with in Infinity War. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm not saying it's going to be him, but Vision and Bucky have sure as hell never interacted.
there's
Yeah.
a rumor. Yeah, but my thing with it being like Bucky or Falcon is that
Oh, I know for a fact it's not going to be them. I just feel like it.
yeah,
Spider-Man?
It needs to be somebody I'm guessing because this, has been rumored to lead into Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I have a feeling it's got to be somebody from the Doctor Strange realm. So
Maybe
maybe
something multiversal.
the other rumor popping around is one of the Pietros. Just like one of them. There were rumors that Evan Peters was on set months ago before the pandemic started. That's
That'd be
the
cool.
rumor, is that it might be Pietro, and
That'd
that
be
might
really
be part
wild.
of their lead-in. Yeah, well, because Disney's now started dropping hints that they're keeping some of the Fox cast.
That'd be
Really?
cool. That'd be cool.
They
Just
started
keeping the-
dropping.
sorry to interrupt. It's like more just they're keeping the cast, but not necessarily the canon, like J.K. Simmons in Far From Home type of deal.
They're starting to drop hints. There are reports starting to come out that they're talking to Sophie Turner and Jennifer Lawrence about reprising their roles because they're now getting old enough to play the adult versions of those characters.
Yes, Austin.
Interesting.
My dogs are barking. They're outside. I'll be right back.
That'd be
But
interesting. I don't know how much I'd want Jennifer Lawrence back as Mystique personally. I don't feel like that was one of her. I don't feel like that was one of her best
She
roles.
was phoning it in the last couple movies.
She was phoning it in, and she was just complaining about the makeup to the point that they rarely had her in the blue. Which is like, I also
mean,
get that
can you-
Mystique's not going to be walking around in blue casually.
She
you-
does. That's
but-
the thing. Is she doesn't like pretending to be a human. Whatever.
Oh, yeah,
I have
it's
issues with Jennifer Lawrence, but whatever.
Unless they're like, no, don't worry, we'll CG it. But like,
I mean, can you blame her though? Like,
Oh, it's awful.
Well,
But like,
there's a whole arc with Mystique of how she gets the confidence to be herself and not try to blend in and fake.
oh right,
Yeah.
Like all the time. Like when she has to like sneak in and stuff, obviously. But yeah.
basically, Jennifer Lawrence started dating a dude who didn't want her to be in Hollywood, didn't like that a bunch of guys would come up to her and be like, I masturbate to you 8 times a day, and tried to convince her to leave Hollywood. And like, then she's just started phoning in her performances. And that's why I don't want her to continue as Mystique, but whatever.
yeah.
I mean, yeah. I get. For me, I would wipe the whole cast except Deadpool, obviously, because that's still happening.
yeah, no, Ryan Reynolds has been confirmed because like, you know,
Yeah.
Deadpool's meta enough that you could freaking, you could put him in Star Wars and he'll fit in.
Mhm.
Did you see that IGN article? I don't even know what it was about entirely, but it rumored that Deadpool 3 was going to be a road trip with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
original
That was
Ryan
the
one.
Wa-
original pitch.
Ryan Reynolds tweeted it out. He was like, this doesn't matter now, but as like a fun tidbit, before Disney bought Fox, that's what we were writing for Deadpool 3, was a road trip between him and Logan.
Well, he tweeted it out with
I don't
a I
We
think
get
it
that
was-
as like the way the Guardians are doing the holiday special. Just like, fuck it, make it an hour long.
well, no, I think he tweeted that on the end of like the Bell's Let's Talk Day, just so that
Yeah.
would get more traction.
Yeah,
Because for every retweet
Oh.
that gets, it's another 5 cents for that charity.
So did
that charity.
you think he just made it up?
God, I
Nobody
hope
knows.
not.
Who knows?
Like, that's
yeah.
the thing, is nobody knows if he was serious.
That's the thing. I could totally see Ryan Reynolds making that up right there on the spot to get all those retweets.
I
Next
assumed
year
it was
on the
fake,
same
too.
next year on the same day, he'll be like, by the way, last year's was fake. Put the hashtag in and just get.
Yeah.
That's his way
I-
of pitching it to Disney.
I was just actually had
assumed
that
it was
thought.
not real. Yeah.
Could you imagine that's what they do for Deadpool 3?
I would love it.
I mean, it's being written by the Bob's Burgers writers, which I'm very excited for, and like, they're keeping it R-rated.
Mhm.
You know,
That's
so like,
awesome.
I'm very happy with the way Disney's going to go about Deadpool.
Yeah, for sure.
Dumb. Like, at the end of the day, they're not stupid. They're not going to be like, oh, you just had 2 movies that were rated R that did really well. We're going to make it PG-13 now and basically gut the character. Like,
The 2 best R-rated movies before a shitty Joker movie came out.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Deadpool 2 is not Deadpool 1, but it's better than Joker.
I'm just talking in terms of money. They were the 2 best grossing R-rated movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always talking straight money,
I thought you meant... Okay, never mind.
quality.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Deadpool 2. I know you didn't like it as much.
I have not
Okay.
seen them, so
You're missing out. That first one, bro, is like quality comedy. We've derailed this, but I just got to tell you, man, like
Right.
comedy.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, like it's not just genuinely funny. Like it is a genuinely good movie. The editing's really cool. The
Great
storytelling in
fourth wall
it.
breaks.
Yeah.
Could have
Yeah,
very easily not been as well, is the thing.
Yeah,
What was
I'll watch them just because 3 is gonna be in the MCU. So I guess like you'll have to watch 1 and 2 a little bit.
Yeah.
And all
as
the
well.
X-Men movies to get those references.
I saw
stopped
Deadpool
at-
without seeing the X-Men movies.
I stopped after Days of Future Past. I saw Logan, but all the others.
Honestly, that's the one you need to stop.
Days
at.
of Future's Past is a good one to stop at.
well, I watched Logan too. Logan's great.
Oh yeah, Logan. That's a different timeline.
Yeah,
You don't need
yeah.
to watch Apocalypse or. Dark
Somebody
Phoenix.
tweeted this week and was like, I need them to not cast Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight because I want him to come back as Apocalypse, and I was like, Oscar Isaac would rather never work again than ever put that makeup back on.
Yeah.
He hated that movie.
Okay.
Not only that the makeup was uncomfortable, like it wasn't good.
It
So-
was heavy, and he couldn't turn his neck or his upper body. He had to turn like this. And
And
so
it-
all the shots look ridiculous.
So
it was the same problem with Eccleston in Thor: Dark World. Like he had that huge
Mhm.
get up as Malekith, and like you couldn't tell who he was or like what he was acting.
So I was just thinking, that's 2 people on the X-Men movies that hated their makeup. Don't hire that makeup team.
But if you look at the concept art for what they originally wanted Apocalypse costume to be, it was better and more comic accurate. And then instead they gave us like, and this is a joke for like 12 people out there, it looked like discount Ivan Ooze.
Yes.
I found one of the 12 who get it.
It's a bad costume. Like it's a bad design.
Oh yeah.
But oof.
I think we've derailed this.
It has
I'm so
been.
sorry.
No worries.
Another
Always-
tidbit: when Monica's walking into the acting director's office, he has like all these like plaques set up on the wall, and it's in a hexagon shape too. So I just reading that now.
Scroll.
That's.
I really need to start noticing this stuff better.
Yeah.
I'm just reading about it. I'm not going to take full credit for that.
I do
But
want
it
to add
is-
that I finally remembered Dottie's name. Thank you.
Dottie.
Oh yeah. In terms of like this week's episode, like I also wanted to say, like we've been talking about how well they've been doing like the television stuff. When they approach the energy field, and maybe I'm looking too into this because like what other colors would they have used? But it kind of looked like the blank image you'd get on like an old TV.
I noticed that too.
Like they're kind of like the static when you first turn it on and like the
Yep.
light rainbow colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it also reminded me of like the like PS2 era of video games where like they wouldn't make it open world to be like, here's an invisible wall, you can't go past this point. But no, it looked very much like
Like the
TV
static.
sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
Now that
static,
you're
I guess,
saying it,
would be
yeah.
the best thing.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until you pointed that out.
Yeah.
So also the acting sword director, his full name is Tyler or Howard, and I don't know if this connects or is just me being an ass. But in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there's an agent Brian Howard who's part of the group that's actually Hydra. And like we've seen
Oh.
so much Hydra stuff that like there's a part of me that's curious if there's a connection.
It's been
Yeah.
a while since we've gotten like Hydra content, right? Because what was it? What was the last one? Civil War, I
Hydra
guess. Yeah.
Civil War was
Yeah.
kind of like the remnants of people
Yeah.
that were Hydra affiliated after it fell in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, 'cause maybe if he happened to, does be Hydra, maybe that is a trail that leads into Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I could just see Nick Fury slamming a clipboard over his knee after realizing that sword also got taken over by Hydra.
Oh my gosh.
That
Just
freak
kind of
out.
like
He's
the
"Not
gif from
again."
Key and Peele where he goes, "Son of a bitch."
Yeah.
No, I just like I don't know. I totally forgot what I was about to say. Gone.
I
I
will
just think
say,
like. Sorry,
I
go
will
ahead.
say that I will say that I think I agree with Monica that it like at this point what she's seen it's all Wanda. That line she says like it's all her. She's controlling it all. I
Mhm.
still think that's a leap from her perspective. It still doesn't like if you are in Sword, you probably know a bit about the Avengers, and this is very uncharacteristic of her as a whole. Like sure she's shown like, and she used to be arguably a bad guy, but she's an Avenger. So like I feel like at this point maybe they lost the benefit of the doubt for her, but I still think that's a stretch to say that it's all Wanda.
I agree. I
Yeah.
think that's might just be something to lead us astray.
I
Mhm.
think
Right.
she knows that that whatever's happening is happening because of Wanda. How in control she is because of her actions, they may or may not address. They also have to consider Wanda was snapped, so maybe she's not handling it all that well. LeighErin, so you could stop.
So I remembered what the other thing was. So Darcy,
Darcy.
Darcy.
fucking watches.
I thought Dottie. I
Um,
thought that's what you were saying.
I've
got
been watching
so
a lot of
pinky.
Bridgerton. I've been watching a lot of Bridgerton, and Daphne is the main character in that show. but she says that there's an extremely high level of some like some
Radiation.
The
yeah, and the guy's
CMBR.
like, "Oh, well, it's all saying that it's in safe levels." And she goes, "It's relic radiation that dates back to the Big Bang. The Infinity Stones were created in the Big Bang."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
like Wanda gets her powers from
From an
Mind
Infinity
Stone. So like
Yep.
But I don't remember the full acronym, but it wasn't Gamma, and the only reason why I say that is
it was
because
CMBR.
Yeah,
yeah,
CMBR.
in Endgame, Hulk, and maybe the snap is different than an individual stone, but in Endgame, Rocket and Hulk describe the snap's energy as mostly gamma.
That's what. Yeah, they do say
Interesting.
that mostly gamma, but or similar to gamma.
Yeah.
And then also, this at least the beginning of 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 what at least episode 4, like when Monica gets to the force field, it's set like 3 weeks after Endgame, so it's still not that long after Endgame. So we're still like immediate post
I didn't even,
effects.
yeah, I didn't even consider how close this was to Endgame. I also have to, they couldn't have shown her blipping in for no reason. Like, other than, okay, wow, Monica was snapped. That has to play a role to
Yeah.
some capacity,
Oh yeah.
unless it's just, you get a better idea of her character.
I think it
Mhm.
was just for the
The
purpose of like
timeline.
a bomb ass opening. I think they're like, this is gonna grab their attention. Boom. Also, real quick, did they say that she vanished 3 years ago? I thought it
No,
was
That
5
was
No.
the
years
mom
her
ago.
that
mom
died.
died 3 years
3
ago,
years
2
ago.
years after she was snapped.
So
Okay, so I heard that wrong. Okay.
Maria was in surgery. Monica was waiting in her hospital room when she came out of surgery during the snap. So when they came back to Maria's room, Monica was gone. And then Maria went on her daily life for 2 years. Her cancer came back. Her cancer killed her. 3 years later, Monica reappears
In that room.
Got it. Okay.
in that room, which is
I was
terrible.
confused
Max.
about that, so thank you.
Also, yeah, let's just talk about getting blipped back into a hospital, because you see it for a half second that some guy who I think was visiting a relative of his blips back to a new person, and how scary that must be.
Oh
To just
yeah.
yeah.
You know, it was like it was yeah, I was like it was intense, man. Like just thinking about that, and especially when we were talking about Far From Home, how that was kind of playing it off as like a for a
It's a
comedic
joke.
effect. Yeah, like dude, that's like man,
But yeah, no, the
bumping into that guy that blip back like after you, like, geez, that's
yeah.
intense stuff.
Mhm.
Also, the song playing at the end, when they're holding the baby sitting on the couch, is Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix, and I just really liked that.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't,
I
now
thought
that I
that was
think of it that
fun.
way.
Yeah, just that it's Voodoo Child. I enjoy that a lot. It's I don't
Yeah.
know. The opening, I don't know if we said this already, but the opening was hexagons too, wasn't it? Of the 70s episode.
Yes,
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was the Brady
Uh,
Bunch. Okay.
but with
yeah.
hexagons.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I have so many.
So many, yeah. I'm also enjoying how, like, when she puts people in the context, it doesn't necessarily make, like, there's no reason for a beekeeper to come out of a sewer, but it was the closest thing to a hazmat suit, and there's no reason
Yeah.
that a beekeeper would be having, like, those red, white, and blue jump ropes on them. So it's just literally like the closest affiliation. It doesn't even have to make sense.
Mhm.
Right. I thought that was kind of cool. I never would have thought that the cable would have changed too.
What I
Yeah.
liked is
Yeah.
that when they pulled it out on the other side, it was still a jump rope.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
feel like
Well,
that
I was
now
gonna say her
that is
clothes were still the
significant.
same.
yeah,
That is
when
still
Monica
significant
comes
though.
out,
She's still
it's
in
what
her 70s garb.
yeah.
Mhm.
True. True.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
see.
can't believe the beekeeper went. I was like, man, you see the force field? Don't go in there. Like,
You just
Yeah,
walk through it
dude.
like it was nothing.
He's on a
oh
mission.
man.
What he was sent down there for? What do you mean? Gets all the way there and he's like, nah, turns around. What do you mean?
Yeah,
I don't think
they
you even
just
notice it.
watch somebody else disappear into that thing. Maybe go,
It's
hey, the force field's
distorted.
down here too. The force field's down here too. Woo was wrong. Like it does extend into the sewer. I'm coming back up.
I don't
They,
think he
they
even noticed
probably
it
should
though.
have
He just
said.
kept walking.
Yeah,
Kept
he didn't
crawling.
react at all. But they probably should have said, "Hey, if you see the force field, walkie us, we'll pull you back in.
We'll pull you back up and, not
'Cause
risk you disappearing into the unknown.
Yeah, because we
Bad.
still don't know how this
Germaphobe now.
works.
Wah.
I also kind of like how Darcy's like low key invested in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they hint at that there's more of the show that even we haven't seen.
Yeah,
'Cause they've
probably
been-
like antics and stuff.
She kind of implies that there are like days that it was the 50s and days that it was the 60s that we didn't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she had it down to a schedule of like when she'd wash dishes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which you wouldn't get just from watching it once. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the perspective of the radio thing from that side.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's cool.
It wasn't like invigorating to watch because like I know what happens, but it was still cool to see like how they went about it and like why didn't
The
they just try
inception of
again?
it.
Yeah, why didn't they just try again? Like why didn't they just keep going to another
They
source?
don't know 100% what happened, but they saw a cut, so they know that they actually in their minds
knows.
it didn't go through.
Mhm.
Because what happened is, from their perspective, when Wanda
Oh,
cuts
yeah, that's
and it's to Dottie, it actually plays off like a sitcom where Dottie just says some corny, 60s housewife thing.
Because
about,
she
like,
says the
"How
thing
is a-"
about blood.
She
That's-
does, but they don't get the context for it, so they just think Wanda's making up shitty dialogue.
Yeah, they don't see the line where Dottie's like, "Who are you?
No,
Where
they d-
whatever." They don't see
Right,
that.
Yeah.
They don't see the blood on her hand, but they did see the helicopter toy in color and that it wasn't colorized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That it was colorized, but it wasn't artificially colorized, I should
Yeah.
say.
That was a cool moment. Like, who did this? Who colored
Yeah.
it?
Also, I don't know if this was a forced perspective thing, but the helicopter was that big, right?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was a drone, not a
roughly
toy. But,
that size.
but the way they shot it, when it comes up, it looks like it is the size of like a real helicopter above a road. So I was just like, did I miss something, or is this a camera angle?
Pretty sure it's just a perspective thing.
That's what
It
I
was
figured.
It was definitely still altered because like the drone was too futuristic. So then when it went in,
It was
yeah,
altered to
Oh,
look more
yeah.
like a toy, but I meant when it was flying in, there was
Kind
a camera angle where it looked.
perspective-wise, it was off,
Yeah,
or at least questionable.
Mhm.
yeah.
There's also when Monica gets like thrown out of Westview, like she literally breaks through like the fourth wall, like she breaks through like 4 layers of like the house of like the
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
contract before she actually gets out. Also, that's like the direction of where Vision and Herb and Agnes were, right?
That's what I thought.
That's where the door was, and he
Yeah.
walked out.
So
yeah,
when somebody brought up earlier in this podcast that, like, we're seeing things that they're not seeing and all that, like, that's what I've thought of that they were going to talk about. That Monica would have gotten blown right through that front wall right by that conversation.
yeah.
Yike.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But instead,
also-
the first
Unless that
thing
was
she
like in a
gets shot
side
through
yard or
is,
something.
I think it might have been the same. She got shot through the wall. No, because she goes through the nursery and then a fence.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't go through the nursery.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does, because Wanda rebuilds the nursery.
Because it's the bookcase, then
Oh,
the
yeah.
nursery, then the
Yeah.
front wall, and then the set wall.
And the door to the nursery and the front door are the same side, and outside of those should be the driveway, but instead she gets plastered, she gets
With
pushed
a
through a
side
fence.
yard or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless she just made her go through and just so Vision wouldn't see, makes a abrupt 90-degree turn.
They made a hard right turn. You know what? I just want the Korg explanation. It's like a circle, like a really freaky circle.
I mean, it could be. It's magic, but we don't understand.
Magic.
Also, how many drones did they waste? Like they sent at least like 4 or 5, right? Like
They're gonna see those toy helicopters everywhere.
Righty.
Our tax dollars are just being funded for drones to turn into toys.
right?
I also really liked at the end Vision coming in and saying we don't have to stay here. We don't have to stay here, and her cutting in and going, yes, we do.
Yeah.
And then going into I have everything under control, but there's that big pause in yes, we do.
Part of me thinks that Vision saying that is like one of those things that we haven't seen, but he's probably said before, and that's where she goes, all right, next decade, let's do like this little We know now it's not a reboot because people remember, but
Yeah.
maybe to her, this is her way of kind of like, let's just reset things.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main reasons I wonder if Wanda is the only one playing like God here is like if it was a perfect fantasy where nothing bad has ever happened to her, wouldn't Pedro have shown up by now? Like I know logistically they don't own him, but like I feel like if you're
Technically, now they do.
if you're making yourself a perfect world, just make everybody who died not dead.
I think she had to keep it. I know this sounds weird. She had to keep it grounded in some sense of
I
a
can see that.
reality.
That's because Age of Ultron at this point is like literally like 8 years from.
Well, it wouldn't be like 13 since they had the 5-year jump.
No, so 2015.
It's like 2023.
2023.
It's like
Yeah.
a couple years
Okay,
ahead of where
gotcha,
we're at.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, it's like 2023.
Yes, Austin.
My cat's doing a thing. I think that the not seeing Petrov thing. Oh my god! I think that not seeing the Petrov thing makes sense because that was a wound at that point, whereas the Vision thing was still very abrupt
Very
for her. So
fresh.
she was in denial about the
Literally
Vision.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, whereas my cat is forcing her way into a drawer. All right, cool.
Comfy, man.
So yeah, I think that the Vision thing she was in denial for. So that's why we won't see Pietrov. Whereas she's kind of accepted that, but it's still a wound
I
kind of a thing.
also think it's like she doesn't know what her brother's perfect life would have been, and it might not necessarily have been to be neighbors with her and also have a wife and kids or whatever. So she's like, I'm gonna do my life, and my twin can be a memory that I have. Maybe he's still in Sokovia and alive, whatever. Like,
Well, no, she
Okay.
says he died.
yeah, but that's when she snapped kind of out of it.
That's true.
Yeah, we don't hear her talk about Pietrov like in the actual sitcom,
Sitcom,
like
yeah.
canon lines, whatever.
Yeah.
That's where it kind of starts to break, but
Yeah.
and get therapist-y.
I also want to add that we were talking earlier about how, like, do they have vision? Do they not have vision? I feel like physically you don't have to have vision at all. You can have visions like data or conscience downloaded somewhere, and then you're good.
Well, parts of it are somewhere. We know that, but not
Yeah.
fully.
Wakanda.
Yeah,
But
Wakanda.
just throwing that out there, you don't need to have vision physically.
No.
Right, no, but we were just more talking about her like animating him.
I feel like the fact that I understand Wu's for the FBI, but like he's working for with Sword at the moment. When the fact that Hero like is Vision alive implies that as far as Sword is concerned, he's not, unless only top level people like the director know where the android body went.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the entire thing of we don't know if Vision's dead because Darcy says at the beginning too, where she's like, "Didn't he die? Like, not like got snapped, but like died."
Died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, what is going on here? So like, I don't know. I like the idea of somebody having Vision's animated corpse for some reason really freaks me out. Like, I know
Yeah.
I mean, that
human, but
scene
that's,
freaked
like,
me out.
yeah,
Dude.
like that's even weird to be like somebody's just holding, even if it's not Wanda, even if it's like the Skrulls have it, or Sword has it, or Hydra has it, like
Pretending it's
Mhm.
alive.
it's just creepy to have.
It kind of
Yeah.
plays off as like a guy who married a sex doll.
If Wanda has it, yes. If Hydra has it, I hope not.
Saying. Like if she has his busted head body just sitting there on a couch and she's just like, right, honey?
Yeah, but this is my thing too, where the show has made me a little uncomfortable, and I don't like thinking about it. We talked in I think the first episode about how this show is overtly like was weirdly sexual at points.
Especially the second episode.
I don't like that Marvel has had to make me think about whether or not Vision is anatomically correct. I've never had to think about that before this episode, and now I do. Or did she make him anatomically correct? And like, how does that work? I'm
Okay, so-
derailing this completely,
No,
but I've
no,
been
no.
thinking about this nonstop for the entire time the show has been running.
We don't actually know, but we do know that Vision's whole thing, because he was originally the body Ultron wanted. It is a mix of flesh and vibranium.
Mhm.
So, technically maybe, but
Like, it's just like because they also imply that they have sex because they pull the beds together, make it a queen bed, and then pull the sheets over them. Like, I just don't like thinking about that, and that's the one thing I'm mad at Marvel
He's-
about.
He still has fingers, and he's a robot, so like you know.
Oh my
You can't
god.
get pregnant from fingers,
Well,
Jordan.
no, that's the okay. Here's the thing: the comics have never confirmed, obviously, whether or not he's anatomically correct. They have confirmed that he can't have kids because even if they give him a robot penis, he's shooting blanks.
It's just like I don't like that Marvel has made me think about this. In the comics, they gave me a definitive answer where the children came from, and I didn't have to think about it. The show not giving me that is I like can't stop thinking about this.
We don't
It
have
really
the
bothers
answer
me.
yet.
We'll get a line. We'll get a line that says like, "It was her magic. End of story. Stop
I
talking
need
about it."
something that's just like Vision's body wasn't there. None of that was real. Like it's fine. The babies were made by magic. It's fine. Like you don't have to worry about it anymore. But
I'm sure
until
it's
they
gonna be a
do, it's
line.
all I can
Although,
think.
although I really do want to see Randall Park as Jimmy Woo ask the question of if Vision is anatomically correct, or because I could imagine going, or is he kind of like a Ken doll and doing this motion? Marvel, hire me. I'll be your best writer for just these jokes.
He went viral. Hire him. He's
True.
viral.
What did the likes top out on that tweet?
Let's see. The newest count.
Too
we
many.
are at.
Did you hit
Yeah,
a million?
Too many. He's close.
My Twitter app literally lags opening now. We are at 958,000.
Nice, dude. We gotta get that. We gotta get that milli. What was your phone?
If we
What was
get
your
that
phone
mill,
like, man? Like it had to like exploded or something, right?
Lana was on the phone with me, and she was just like, "Is that your phone?" I was like, "Yeah."
We're talking on the phone. He put me on speaker and set me down on a table, and it just like would not stop interrupting it. It was
Yeah.
'cause then he couldn't figure out how to mute it.
Then my mom called me, and she was just like, "Wow, how many people are texting you, Mr. Popular?" I'm like, I'm not in a group chat. Like, it's straight up just strangers liking this joke."
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah,
our
one of my
thoughts
friends-
on WandaVision episode 4.
Hey.
I mean, do we have anything else to say?
Not really.
No.
I just love the concept of this whole episode being
Outside.
like just like a hey, here's what's going on, like
In the title, like I didn't say it at the beginning because I don't remember the exact wording. It was like, "Pardon the interruption" or "Sorry for
Yeah,
the
something like
interruption,"
that.
right?
We now interrupt this program.
Yes.
That's what it
Yeah.
was. Like,
mhm.
Yeah.
again,
It's
the meta
going
of this
from-
show.
I feel like
Yeah.
there's gonna be a second one. We now interrupt this program part 2 or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
For breaking news.
ooh.
Yeah, like
Now
something
interrupt
like
the
that.
program again.
Exactly.
Sorry. Because
But
the first one is live in front of a studio audience, and then I don't remember what the second one is, but the third one is now in color. So it's
Yep.
like the titles are very clearly supposed to be set up the way announcements would be for a television show.
Yeah, I can
But
look up
the
the second episode.
Cool thing I thought was cool is that like I looked at the episode just to see how long it was this morning when I first woke up, and it just said episode 4. But by the time it was like 1 Eastern, it changed to the title, the actual episode title name.
They've been doing that for every episode because when the first 2 went up, it was just episode 1 and 2, and everybody thought it was going to be like Mandalorian, where it's episode 1 and 2 or chapter whatever, but it doesn't
Mhm.
show you the name until you're watching it. But no, and then like a couple hours later, it will pop up with whatever the title
Okay.
is.
Episode 2 is called "Don't Touch
Yes.
That Dial," so not really an
Yeah,
announcement
it
thing
is.
of
Yeah,
the
it
era.
is.
Yeah, it's the "Don't touch that
It
dial, we'll
is?
be
We're
right
coming
back."
right back.
It was
Yeah.
it was how sitcoms
Oh.
didn't necessarily do it unless it was an Nickelodeon used to do it. They didn't say "Don't touch that dial," obviously, because
Don't touch the
televisions
remote.
didn't have dial anymore. But yeah, it was "Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back" with whatever. And in the 50s and 60s, it was "Don't
Got
touch
it.
that dial." That was a big thing with Dick Van Dyke, with
Mhm.
like all the music shows like that showed like that like Elvis was on and things like that would be "Don't touch that dial, we'll be right back."
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But I almost think that we got 5 episodes left.
Hmm.
We know 3 of them are going to be the more decade ones, and 2 of them are going to be the probably outside would be. I guess so.
Make them
One of them's
Side
got
ones.
yeah.
One of them's got to be the finale. So the question is, where does the second one
That was
fall?
going to be my question.
I really think we're going to see 80s 90s modern and then another one of the outside world.
2 outsides in a row.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That
And
makes
I
the
feel
most sense.
Part of me was
Yeah,
thinking like
and-
every other, and then like the 2000s, since that was kind of, I guess, incomplete. it's like a good mix of like inside outside for the finale.
If it gets interrupted, like if they just burst through the sitcom and we never get closure to whatever their sitcom situation is, but we get closure to the show.
Right.
That's what I think the final episode is going to be, and that's why I feel like the final episode has to be an hour, so you get that blend of them of the sitcom world, them breaking in, and then her coming out in the real world, any questions that are left over being answered, and like
I also wonder if because the show hasn't really wasted space with any lines, especially within the sitcom. So I wonder if like the talking heads of the modern episode are gonna play into like somebody talking to Sword, or somebody kind of giving a message.
what they release looks like it's all in universe, but I don't know.
We don't know the context. Yeah.
Yeah. But the other thing that I find interesting in the overall MCU is this wasn't supposed to be the first thing. It was supposed to be Falcon and Winter Soldier before they got fucked.
Right. Yeah.
I really feel like it was supposed to be, okay, here's because Falcon and Winter Soldier is a miniseries. Here's Falcon and Winter Soldier. This is the last of that like era of Marvel with
A little more grounded.
yeah, where it's grounded and it's you fighting Zima. It's things we've seen before. It's the ending to this story of it's the end of Bucky's story. It's the beginning of something new for Falcon, whatever that's going to be. Like da la la. And then we were supposed to jump right into WandaVision, and WandaVision is just setting us up for everything that we're going to from here because all these little things are starting to like Spider-Man's being tied into it. Doctor Strange. This was called a direct prequel to Doctor Strange. Like.
And Loki's supposed to tie into Doctor Strange as well.
Exactly.
Or, I don't know if we remember if it's Loki's supposed to tie into this or Loki's supposed to tie into Doctor Strange. But either way, the three of them connect, and we now know Spider-Man's in this too. It's not a secret that the multiverse is their Phase 4 kind of theme. Because Kang the Conqueror, who's going to be in Quantum Mania, plays into not necessarily multiverse, but he's a time traveler, which, you know, alternate timelines and parallel universes are cousins, basically. Like,
yeah.
And like
I don't know a better way to explain it, but like they're similar enough.
Yeah.
I remember correctly, I think the Eternals can place hop.
I don't know if they I don't know enough to say if they personally can. I do know that I think I heard something about Eternals are supposed to be jumping around in time because they're eternal. Like you could be like this takes place 1,000 years ago, then in 2008, then 2023, and they're gonna all look the fucking same.
I'm really excited. I want everything to be the multiverse now. Like they've done such a good job of setting that up.
Oh yeah.
I want it to be the multiverse, and I want everything. I want to see some weird multiverse stuff.
That's my thing. Is I don't want to see Into the Spider-Verse Part 2 that's like live action version of the animated one. Like I want to see weird shit. I want to see angry like weird crap.
Yeah.
That, you know.
Like what they're doing with Hulk, what they're doing with Hulk in the Avengers game with like the alternate timeline of I forget that character's name, but like when Hulk was full. Fuck, what's he
Hulk?
called? No, not Planet Hulk, where it's like he has a beard and he goes by a different name.
Like the Master, not the Master, but like
It starts with an M.
Yeah, because it was in the Avengers game as like a DLC skin.
I just want to see them get weird.
Maestro.
Yeah. Like
said. Yeah,
obviously don't give us a whole movie of that because we're getting that in like a video game form and Marvel doesn't like to overlap too much. But like give us a peek into that world or timeline, you know?
Yeah, like I want to see like the weird shit. There's like a universe that Cap doesn't succeed, and like I want to see that. I want to see
That's why
where
we got What If.
that's gone. Like, you
No,
know,
I want more than What If. I just want like
Cap doesn't
You know.
succeed. I don't want to live in that world.
I just want to see things roll, and like I'm really excited for the Skrulls. And are they coming from a different universe? Is it not a break off of the main group of Skrulls? Is it Skrulls from a different universe where they're psychos like they are in the comics? Like I want to get weird.
maybe
I wanna know
Talos
what's going on.
maybe Talos and his group are actually the outsiders. Like they're considered the radicals and that most Skrulls prefer the violent route, so it's a little similar to the comics.
Yeah. Like they've introduced weird into the MCU, and I want it to stay weird. I want to have no idea what's going on.
They did say that the change of the order of the shows isn't going to affect the story they're trying to tell, but I get what you're saying where it's like, oh, now we have to go back to like being grounded, but it's like, no, I like the weird place.
It's the same thing with like that we know in fucking Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're gonna see Yelena become Black Widow, and I'm like, cool, but like, I want to see weird shit. I want to see like more than what we've seen. I don't want a repeat of. Okay, we have this. We have the big come together for Secret Wars. We go on. We have a big bad that we've been. I don't want to see a formula. I want it to stay like.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's gonna happen.
Feige's been quoted of saying it's not going to be a culmination of Phase 4 being an Avengers kind of movie. It's more scattershot, I guess, where it's not gonna culminate in Avengers 4 or whatever Avengers we're on now.
Phase 4 isn't gonna have another Avengers movie. I would imagine that's a Phase 5 thing, which like I'm here for. Give us what the Earth looks like post Snap and post Blip. Give us the more cosmic stuff going on, because we also know that like Thor: Love and Thunder is gonna play a lot into the cosmic stuff. Like Gore's gonna be in it, who's a big thing in the Thor comics.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like I just want to see it be weird, and like we're finding out now that the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to be in Thor 4, and characters from Thor: Love and Thunder are going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and like I just
Captain Marvel too, like
yeah, Captain Marvel 2. We're introducing Miss Marvel. America Chavez is coming into Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness. They're saying that's going to be scary. Like, I didn't realize that I had gotten bored of the MCU's big bad in that like formula until I saw WandaVision, and now I don't want to go back. I just want to keep it.
Which I think
Give
that's
us
what
Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill. Anybody else gonna join me on this? No? Okay.
Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Jordan was very upset that
I really wanted Christian Bale to play
that
Beta
Christian
Ray
Bale was not
Bill.
Beta Ray Bill.
Because he would have committed to the role enough that he would have just grown a goat face.
But I was just gonna say that I
But
think
he was done with that.
Phase 4 is going to be that because it's a fresh start. They don't have a big bad yet. It's we're meeting everybody. We're
even
going to get weird.
And they know after Endgame and how that literally is like the culmination of that's going to be iconic for decades on. Like they don't have to match that energy
For a long time.
No, even the Phase 4 movies coming up that are a little bit more grounded still have this element of like mystical, like Shang-Chi.
Like, Shang-Chi, yeah.
One, it's a character that I think almost no one's heard of, which I'm very excited for. Two, his movie compared to the others is slightly more grounded. And in terms of what we've seen in somebody that can control their chi or energy really well, it's not that different than an Iron Fist, which is still within the realm of stuff we can focus on. But then the legend of the 10 rings being the subtitles, how deep does this legend go? What abilities does the Mandarin have?
Real Mandarin.
Yeah, we're gonna get a real Mandarin. Although I like Ben Kingsley, man. Shout out to
Liverpool. No, he's great, but I'm excited to see the 10 rings when it's fake is so off-putting that when it's the real shit, it's the real Mandarin. I don't that's just the crap I want to see.
They don't contradict each other. I know a lot of people don't like the twist in Iron Man 3, but it's gonna work. I think it works out perfectly. Aldrich Killian was just let's just take that name, do our own thing.
Yeah, that name carries weight. People do that now, in real life. That name carries weight. Let's use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just I'm ready for things to get weird, and I want to roll with it.
Bring the weird.
Yeah, and how they were saying that Secret Wars is going to be the biggest crossover thing with since Civil War. I want that. I don't want where it gets how it gets weird in the comics when Hawkeye shoots Hulk in the head, but
and then tells people afterwards.
Oh yeah, we got the Hawkeye show too. Yeah. But
Hawkeye's also going to be one that's a little bit more grounded in reality, but obviously
it has to be.
Dude's a human.
And so Kate Bishop's just a human being.
We're kind of stuck with that one.
Yeah. I think that's the thing too, is I don't want Robert Downey Jr. to come back. I don't want Chris Evans to come back. I want that to be done and for it to stay done.
Yeah.
Partly just because the endings for both of them was so perfect that I don't want them to ruin that and bring him back.
I think the only way they could come back was if they come back in Deadpool 3 and they're just totally just riffing off of they're not even in their suits or whatever, they're just there. Something like
their
that.
Characters are two men just sitting at a cafe.
Yeah, something like that.
They come back as Tony Stark, or I'm sorry, as RDJ. He's just there. Like,
Yeah.
are you Iron Man? Like, no.
Yeah, if any of them ever are shown again, it has to be in a way where it's not them coming back to life, but it's like, a voiceover, a footage someone found, or like when there was a rumor that Chris Evans was coming back, was like, it may just be he's making more like high school
Dude.
PSAs, like in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Rewatching Homecoming last week, like, oh my, there's some on YouTube. There's more. Like,
Oh, yeah.
They filmed a lot more.
It's incredible, dude. It's incredible.
That's what I think. I think they'll be back for like the what ifs, because if
Well,
this is
they
their
are.
anthology.
Because that's not canonical.
They already confirmed that, I think. That
Yeah.
that was one of the last things they did on the contract or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's fine because it's non-canonical.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying with being anthology stuff like that. Like you could.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this in our Marvel Investor Day about the What If series, but if you could have like one season of that a year, like have the animators work on that and just have different weird Marvel stories.
There's literally
Yeah.
nothing off the table.
Exactly.
No.
We are so off topic.
I was
I'm
just
sorry,
gonna
I
say.
didn't mean to
So
derail
off
it.
topic
We
for
are,
the
but it's
last
still,
half hour.
but we're not, because it is about the multiverse and like Wanda's pocket universe. Like, I think Wanda, she made this intentionally.
It leads to all this other stuff.
She didn't know, I think, kind of the ramifications of what she did, and it's going to cause other rifts in a multiverse to happen, because the MCU has also been very good about making sure that magic is not just magic, that there's a slight explanation to it, and that something affects something else. Especially in Doctor Strange, like she called it the source code of the world, and like what happens to him in his physical body can affect his astral version. Like these things are connected.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting, man.
No.
Watching this episode, yeah, it was
so good. Can't wait for next week's.
I know.
It's
I'm
like
so amped.
I love, because Disney has this ethos with Disney Plus of like, they're not like, they're filming something and then they decide where it goes. Like they're not constraining themselves to like TV, like not that, you know what I mean? Like it's like they're telling a story the way like they want to tell it.
Disney's okay not having a formula, because like WandaVision has a different amount of episodes than Falcon and Loki.
Yeah.
At different run times. She-Hulk is gonna be completely different run times and episode numbers per season. They're not being like, like the Defender shows were all like, you will get this many episodes, and you know what I mean. Marvel's being like, no, if this is how the writers feel works best, we're willing to play around in it. That could also be that they're trying to find what works best on a Disney Plus platform.
Mhm.
But I like to think that they're being open to different timed ways to show these shows.
And not for nothing, not releasing this as a full season like they originally wanted to was such a good idea for them.
I love the
yeah.
weekly. Like
Yeah.
The
Like,
weekly is better.
I hate it, but I love it.
It's so much
It's-
better for them because it keeps it in the conversation.
Well,
and
that's
for
why.
us too. It just keeps it in the conversation. I mean, how many times on Netflix, like, you binge, Witcher, and after that you're just exhausted and like you have to talk about it all at once, and then it's gone.
Yep.
And then you move on. Like I like this weekly, like the old days.
That's the thing is with WandaVision especially, I haven't felt like this, like, ooh, I want it to be Friday because I want the next episode in a really long time because I don't watch cable because
Yeah.
fuck cable. But
I would like to, just real quick, I would like to see a sitcom show where it's like 23 episodes. Like I would kind of like to see something like that. I don't know what that would be.
She-Hulk is said to be not a sitcom because that word doesn't really mean anything in modern days, but it's supposed to be a legal comedy, and it's going to be like half-hour runtime
Yeah.
with more episodes, I think, than the other bigger shows like Moon Knight and Falcon and Loki.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, any final thoughts?
I don't think so.
Shout out to Darcy, man. Huge blow
Yeah.
up.
Yo, shout out to the baked Lay's potato chips being the brightest thing in the fucking show this episode.
Oh man.
Because I was just like, damn, I gotta get me a bag of chips. Like, that had to be a sponsor.
Oh, it had to be. Yeah.
same thing with the instant cup of noodles. Like
Dude,
That close-up shot of that as it hit the ground, yeah.
I love noodles, and seeing the food hit the floor like hurt me a little bit. I was like,
A multi-billion-dollar company needs to be sponsored by 50-cent noodles and baked potato chips.
Hey,
Hey,
the baked
I
Lay's are
don't-
good. Don't knock.
Oh
it.
no, I love
Try
the
'em.
baked
I
Lay's.
love baked Lay's.
Only
Yeah,
Aaron
I'm
knows.
with you.
Yeah, I do.
Chips.
All right. Well, on that note, this is where we leave you guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Everyone's socials will be in the description down below. Come back next week for an episode of The Grind. Bye.
I
Bye.